Hello and welcome to the Halo Forge Epidemic. This is Oakley HiDef and I'm here to bring you part 5 in the series, How to Build an Invasion Map. Now, for those of you who are just joining us, please go back and watch all the previous episodes where I show you how to build this map in all its details. Now, for those of you who've been watching this series, what we're going to do now is finish up the final steps in this map, adding spawn points, kill barriers, weapons, vehicles, and objectives. So stay tuned to learn how to do that. But first, it's important to note that before you go into this game, in the lobby, instead of doing basic editing, you have to set it as game type invasion, and that'll allow you to put the proper game type labels. So once again, make sure you are in invasion editing. That's very important. Another thing to note is if I fly around this map, you may see some flickering. Now that happens because I've added all these spawn points and stuff like that. These have lighting to them, they're translucent, etc. It's more objects, so the game has a problem rendering it. A good thing to note though is that these do not appear in game, so we won't be having this flickering issue. It's usually only when you have when you're doing this in Forge mode. So there you go, here's the map, and we're going to start talking about how to set up the game. So first thing you want to do is throw down initial spawn points. Think about smart placement because this is going to dictate how your first conflict takes place, and that first confrontation is going to really set the tone for your map. So what I had here was the elite spawn over there and on the beach, and then they're going to be assaulting this area here where I have the Spartans defending up over here. Now you really want to think about this a lot. Make sure it's, as I said before, setting up the confrontation you want, and also think about spawn time and movement. So here, I'm standing here, 1, 2, 3. It takes me 3 seconds to get to that wall. If I go over to where the elites are, it takes 1, 2, 3 seconds to get about here. And by this point, the elites are already in cover from this low wall. They can't get shot at from the Spartans, so they're not getting destroyed right off the start. And then once they're here, they have a certain amount of cover. They can throw on their active camo and choose how they want to go about assaulting this base. So that's important. Make sure you keep those several things in mind: where the players are going to move, what the lines of sight are, and then how the confrontation is going to take place. Do you want it to be overpowered? Do you want the Spartans like way up on a hill shooting down at them? Do you want the elites sneaking? Or do you want it to be fair and balanced? So there's a lot of stuff you can do. Another thing to note about initial spawn points is the team you're setting it up as. So here you can see I have blue here and red on the other side. Now it's a little bit confusing. Blue doesn't always mean you're attacking, red doesn't always mean you're defending. The colors correspond to the species that are spawning here. So at blue you're going to have the elites spawning. So elites are going to spawn here, and once again elites are not always attacking. It depends on your game type. So make sure in your game type, if you want the elites spawning, if you want the elites attacking, make sure you say so. And then if the elites are attacking, then the elites are going to be blue team. So that's very important to note. Now, continuing on with spawning, once people spawn here, you're going to want them to respawn. So what you want to do is use hill markers. These are going to be your respawn points. So set them as the appropriate team. Here I have blue team. Elites are going to spawn on the beach and over there. It's important to note on each phase you want probably about 3. So the teams have various places to choose from. Now here you can see I have 2 on the beach. That might be redundant, but if the Spartans are trying to spawn trap and they're shooting a lot at this area, elites can just spawn here or back there. So you want the teams to be able to spawn flexibly. Now, a little more detail about the spawn locations. You don't need any spawn points around them. These will already serve as the spawn points, and when you die you can flip through the various spawn points. You'll get a camera just about like this, so you can see where you're going to spawn. Now make it the appropriate team color, then go into advanced, and here's where it gets tricky. You want to set it as spawn sequence 3. Now spawn sequences here do not correspond with the phase you're in. Spawn sequence here corresponds with the fire team. Now fire teams in invasion are the different teams where you can spawn on your buddy. Invasion is usually 6 on 6, so you have 3 fire teams. So what you do is if you want only one fire team to spawn here, you set it for that appropriate fire team's number. So 0 is for Alpha, 2 is for Beta, 3 is for Charlie. And if you want this to be a general spawn point, just go ahead and set it at spawn sequence 3. That's what I usually do. No one really uses the fire team, so go ahead and make it a general spawn by setting it as spawn sequence 3. So to recap, set it as the appropriate team color, spawn sequence 3, and then in advance, go to game type label, invasion, respawn, and then P1, P2, or P3. Now, this is for the phases. Set it to invasion, respawn, P1 to make it for the first phase, or P2 for second phase, P3 for first phase. There you go. That's easy to do and simple. So that's how you set your initial or your respawn points for the different phases. So here I have the elite spawning along the beach, and up there Spartans are going to be able to spawn up here and over here. And also I have them spawning here in the various defenses. So you don't want the Spartans to have too much of an advantage. You don't want your respawn points to be too close to the objectives. That just makes it a slaughter. It makes the gameplay stale, and there's no real strategy. All you do is rush. So next step is setting up your objectives. Again, use hill markers because those do not appear in game. Change the radius, that's going to be the capture area. Then set it as the color of the attacking team, so this is blue. Then you go to advance, spawn sequence. Now here, spawn sequence does correspond to the phase. So this is going to be for phase 1, so I set it spawn sequence 1. Game type label invasion objective. So you can go ahead and make 2. I recommend making at least 2 objectives to spread up the defenders and keep it from becoming really a stalemate, and keep the defenders from being able to camp one or the other. So there you go. I've told you how to set it up. Make it the color of the attacking team, spawn sequence, whatever phase it is, and then invasion objective. It's important to note that the objective is not always territories. It corresponds once again to the game type you have. So in game type, change your options. If you can set your option for the first phase objective to be territories, these are going to be territories. If you want it to be assault, on the other hand, then what you're going to do is in your game type label, make it assault. Then these hill markers are going to turn to the detonation sites for the bomb, and then you're going to have to make a capture plate back there with the corresponding label to make a bomb spawn. Now, another thing you can do to spice up your game is to go to gadgets, special effects, and choose one of special effects. So what I'm going to do is throw down purple for the first phase. So the general idea behind this is the elites are attacking at night, Spartans are defending, and elites are trying to knock out these anti-aircraft guns before sort of day breaks, and you have the general assault. So what you should do is have this here. It'll spawn in the beginning, so it's nighttime at first, and then what you want to do is have it despawn after the first or second phase. So the way you do that is you go to game type label gates, spawn sequence 1. Now this is a little bit confusing. So spawn sequence, it does correspond to phase, but it's important to note that the phase is, like, say I want this to disappear after phase 1. I'm not going to make it phase 2 as you would think. So generally you would think, oh, I want to make it to disappear when phase 2 starts. No, you want it to set it as phase 1. So I'm going to set it as spawn sequence 1 because it's going to despawn at the end of 1. So that's important to note. Then game type label gates. So that's what you want to do to make object despawn. Set it as game type label invasion gate, and then spawn sequence the end of the phase in which it's gonna disappear. You can also make objects appear. What you're gonna do is just set it as invasion, the game type label invasion weapon, and then whatever spawn sequence. So that's a little simpler. Also take note, so when you're making objects appear and disappear, you have to have a spawn time of at least 1. When you're making objects appear, you can make them appear anywhere up to 3 minutes. So do set it start no, and then do spawn sequence spawn time 30 seconds. So we'll spawn 30 seconds into whatever phase you've set it up. Now it's annoying. For despawning objects, you can't choose when they despawn. It's going to despawn immediately after that phase. But again, you have to make it at least 1 second. I don't know why, but you just have to. So I'm going to get rid of that just for the purpose of forging. So we've covered initial spawn points, respawn points, objectives, and how to spawn and despawn. So we're going to continue to go through the map. So first phase, important, set up the engagement you want. Then what you want to do is add some power weapons. So for the first phase, keep it simple. Power weapons should be limited to something like a battle rifle and grenade launcher, just so it's not, the confrontation is not too overpowering. Keep it simple. Then in the second phase, you can up the ante, add some shotguns, add turrets, add a sniper, add a rocket launcher. So how you make this happen, you set it game type label, invasion weapon, then set it spawn sequence 2. So you have these appear in spawn sequence 2. So there you go. You beef up the defender's capabilities in the second phase, and to go along with that, what you're going to do is give the attackers vehicles. So both teams get an upgrade in firepower, and you want to sort of balance it out. So I have a rocket launcher and a sniper, balanced with fast moving ghosts and a revenant. And then I'm going to have a wraith, but this is going to spawn later in the game. And then I have the elites having various weapons they're going to be able to have. Now another thing I'm going to tell you is go into spawning, go into loadout, initial loadout camera, and this is the screen that people are going to be seeing when they load up your game in the beginning. So if you want to get a preview, just go up behind your camera and look through it. This is what they're going to see. Set it to neutral so that's what everyone sees. If you wanted to make it more specific, set it to blue that's for the elite loadout camera, and then red for Spartans. So now back to weapons. You want to have a lot of ammo, keep it interesting. Assault rifles just for more ammo, battle rifles, shotguns, etc. If you're going to make a shotgun, make sure it's not too close to an objective that's indoors, otherwise people will camp. So here, first phase, elites come and capture these two areas here, the two anti-aircraft guns, then they move on. Vehicles are going to rush through, so what I have is Spartans can spawn here. They can spawn in here, try and hold them off. If the elites break through, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the Spartans be able to spawn over there to hold the elites off. Second phase, you got territories in here and back there. Elites are going to capture these satellite station areas. Again, make 2 of them, 1 indoors, 1 outdoors, so there's no camping, and keep it varied. Then what I've done is here I have another elite spawn. I didn't want it in the middle of nowhere, so what I did was I gave them a little base, some low walls, and a machine gun nest. Important thing to note, this machine gun is not overpowered. It has a nice line of sight, but again, it's broken up by this cover. You can shoot at people coming across, but you're probably not going to kill them, so you need support of the people here with the battle rifle. Then, as people get closer, you will probably be able to do some damage here. So you don't want this to be too overpowered, but you want, as the Spartans spawn, they can start shooting at people. Important to note, you don't want them too close to the objectives, and also you don't want to give them a direct line of sight at the objective. You don't want them to be able to shoot at people attacking it. You want them to have to run over. So what I've done here is I've added a rock, so when you spawn, you run and jump, and then there you go, you have access to this. So keep in mind how players are going to move around. Now here I've added a warthog for defense capabilities and a mongoose to get around. So that's the second phase generally. I've added various weapons, battle rifles, assault rifles, etc. not to make it too overpowered. Now third phase, over here the core is going to spawn in this special building I showed you guys how to construct. Capture plate, then you want to set this as the color of whoever is attacking, set it spawn sequence 3, and then game type label invasion objective flag. So that means the core is going to spawn there and make sure it's important if you set up your game type to have core in the final phase. So the core spawns over there, then I'm going to have it so they have to bring it back over here. Capture plate here labeled once again blue team, spawn sequence 3, invasion objective, so the objective of the flag is to get over here. Now what I've done is I have this Banshee here for the attackers in the third phase. Now Banshees are pretty OP, overpowered in Halo Reach, but it's nice, you once again up the ante for the elites, they have more capability. Good is they might spawn, or they might camp the spawns of the Spartans, so what I've done is I've given the Spartans 2 Hornets over here and a rocket hog so they can shoot at the Banshees, try and take them out, and 1 more rocket launcher just to neutralize that Banshee. So Spartans who spawn here can get in the Falcons, fly to the beach, add some cover. And also this thing, it's anti-air and anti-ground. So if elites are coming across with a Wraith, what you can do is try and shoot it down and blow it up. You won't be able to lock on, so it's a little more fair for both teams. So here Spartans can spawn here and go over. I'll probably add a teleport to allow beach access. So they can spawn here. They can spawn in here. So they can go and defend this, and also they can spawn over here once again. Now I may have to change this up because it's a little close to the objective, and Spartans can kind of spawn and directly start shooting at whoever's here. Now to make up for that, what I did was I added elite spawn back there, so the elites have just about an equal chance to get the core as the Spartans have of defending it. In addition to that, elites can bring in their ghosts and vehicles, go through the different land bridges, come up here, swoop in, pick this up, hop in a Revenant, and be off before the Spartans can spawn and kill them. So I've kind of balanced the fact that the Spartans are right here with maneuverability and another spawn, so that's important to note. So elites can spawn here, back at their cave, and up over here. So there are various ways for the elites to attack. So that's basics. Another thing to note is that you have to add kill zones to prevent exploitation of various areas of your map. So here I have a kill zone up here. It's a soft kill to prevent people camping at the top of the map. I want gameplay to stay down there. Now, for those of you who play multiplayer, you'll note the parity. So people always come up here and spawn camp. So what I wanted to do is prevent that. Then I added soft kill zones around the map, and then kill barriers, hard kill barriers a little further to keep people from going out too far. So that's another thing to do on your map. So that's about it for the basic setup. I know this doesn't cover everything in Invasion, so what we're going to do in the description is add links to a website which provides information on what you need for all the different game types. So go ahead and check that out. Also, please guys, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We'll continue to bring you videos covering lots of different things, and you'll be able to get notifications. And also, go ahead, subscribe and add comments. See if you want to see more. Tell us if you want to see more of these videos, and then just say what you liked, what you didn't like, what you would want improved. And then also go ahead and subscribe to Darth's blog. Check it out. There's a link on his YouTube channel. We'll be able to have polls so you guys can add more comments on what you see here, and maybe get some we'll have some input on what you guys want to see next. So there you go. That's it for part 5. We'll be testing this in the weeks to come, and then we'll show you guys the finished version later, and we'll probably feature it on this channel. So thanks for watching. This is Oakley HiDef signing out. Thank you.